Hello everybody, this is my Tournament of Death 7 review. First of all, I'll say I tried to post this all week and I couldn't get it done. My video was too long all of a sudden. I had videos shorter than that and they couldn't upload. Then I got sick and I got a cough, and so I couldn't upload it because I couldn't re-record it because I couldn't go 5 seconds without coughing, and I'll probably be coughing this. First thing I'll say is I'm reviewing this for what it is, not compared to other shows. The closest you have to, when you're doing something like a deathmatch tournament, or reviewing Lucha or something different, you can't review it by the same standards of something else. So that's just, if you don't agree with me, then I'm just reviewing this for a deathmatch tournament, not anything else. I'm not, you're not going to see a 7.75, which is what I've rated this show, isn't going to be equal the same as a 7.75 that I give a Puro show, or something like that, because it's two different things, and you can't really compare the two in terms of quality. They're just whatever. So yeah, 7.75, and I'll do the match ratings, because you got the 7.75, and then I didn't want to do spoilers, so if you want the match ratings, they're on the side. I'll go through the matches with you, and yes. I'll also be uploading some Old Japan and Noah reviews. Anyway, there were two really bad booking choices in this, and I'll get to them when I'm going through the matches. First match was, off the bat, was Pinkie Sanchez versus Danny Demanto. The way this was booked was that Danny Demanto and Pinkie Sanchez, or Danny Demanto had attacked Pinkie Sanchez as a previous show, and he wanted Danny Demanto, so Danny Demanto was beating him down, playing the heel. Pinkie Sanchez made the comeback, and it was a tables, ladders, and light tubes match, and it was quite entertaining. One of the matches of the night, and it was straight off the bat, 3.25 stars. Next we had loose light tubes match between Mickie Knuckles versus Scotty Vortekz. Scotty Vortekz had Diehard Dustin who's his tag team partner, interfering on his behalf. I hope Mickie Knuckles gets well soon. There were some stiff suplexes, head drops, and Scotty Vortekz kicked Mickie Knuckles pretty hard in the head, and this was quite an entertaining match with some pretty sick happenings. 3 stars. Next we had a barbed wire board and light tube. Now this is the retarded booking number 1. There were 2 examples of this. The best of the best, they had an ultraviolet survivor match. Wax was included, and Diehard Dustin was included, as was Mickie Knuckles and Andy Sumner. Now the loser of the match wouldn't be booked in the tournament. Now Diehard Dustin was the loser because he was pinned. Wax wasn't, but he wasn't going to be in the tournament until Diehard Dustin interfered, and Sandy came out and said, alright, well, Diehard Dustin, you get in the tournament. So that whole match was completely pointless. Anyway, this match was pretty mediocre. It was a bit short. Diehard Dustin took some pretty sick bumps into barbed wire, because it was barbed wire boards and light tubes match. Man, light tubes were overused at this show, but other than that, it was pretty good. It was a pretty decent match. It was a pretty good tournament. I mean, 2.5 stars. Next we had Anything Goes, False Count Anywhere match with Andy Sumner versus DJ Hyde. This was like a backyard wrestling match. Of course, at times it had some moments of brilliance, and at times it was just fucking terrible. There was spots around the tree, and it just looked so backyard. Then when they went onto a roof with a ladder and tables, that was nifty, I guess. 2.5 stars. It was pretty good at times, pretty terrible at other times, but overall I think if they'd stayed on that course of the really good stuff, they would have been 3.5 or so, because Andy Sumner is just that talented. 2.5 stars. It's the same with Diehard Dustin versus Wax, versus Panes of Glass, Drake Younger versus Nick Gage. Well, it was supposed to be Drake Younger versus Nick Gage, but it turned out to be Drake Younger and Nick Gage versus Devon Moore and Drew Blood. Now, these two guys had been interfering in previous shows, so they were, had to wrestle this match. Conveniently, they were in their wrestling gear, but whatever. It's wrestling; it doesn't need to make sense. And so they were in the match, and it was a tag team match. And this way, both Drake Younger and Nick Gage advanced to the next round. It was a lot of fun. There were some pretty good glass spots, and it wasn't too long, which was a good thing. Some of the matches here in the tournament went a little bit too long. This one didn't. 3 stars. Plenty entertaining. And then there was Barbed Wire Massacre with Greg Excellent versus Ryan McBride. Both of these two guys usually have a certain amount of charisma. Greg Excellent a lot, and Ryan McBride, he has sort of that quiet charisma where he doesn't really need to do anything, he sort of just broods. Whereas this, they both seem pretty robotic, and the match was quite boring, fans chanting in this match. There were some good moments in it, some good wrestling, but for the most part, the crowd wasn't interested, like the Panes of Glass match where they were really hot for it. 1.5 stars. Light Tube bundles, Danny Havoc versus Necro Butcher, or it was scheduled to be Necro Butcher, but it couldn't be Necro Butcher because Necro Butcher played up an injury, because what had happened last week was they'd been building for months. Danny Havoc was trying to get Necro Butcher one-on-one, but he couldn't, which was good build. And Necro Butcher, so Necro Butcher played up an injury. Danny Havoc had won a match, best of the best, to right to wrestle him at Tournament of Death, but he couldn't, so he had to wrestle Ram. And the story behind Ram is a fictional character from a movie, and they got the stunt double who played Ram, the movie being the wrestler, and the Ram is really a stunt double with a wrestling background, I believe. And he just did some basic wrestling, and Danny Havoc hit him with some light tubes and stuff, and it was plenty fun. But it was just there to advance the storyline, so 2.5 stars. Next we had the first semi-final, which was Drake Younger versus Scotty, Vortekz versus DJ Hyde versus Wax, and these were double elimination matches. The first one was a fishhook death match. There were some pretty sick spots with the the fishhooks. Wax is continuing a tradition of last year. He got hit with weed whackers, and this year he got hit with weed whackers. And was eliminated, as was Wax. You could pretty much see it. And so Drake Younger and Scotty Vortekz advanced in a pretty good match, 3.25 stars. Next we had a non-tournament match. I don't get this, because you have one semi-final, then a non-tournament match, then another semi-final, which means the guys in the second semi-final get more time. The guys in the first semi-final get more time to rest than the guys in the second by a significant margin, because the guys in the second semi-final will just be going straight from that match to the next. So. Bit retarded. Sorry about the coughing. Anyway, the non-tournament match was Blackout versus Joe Gacy and Alex Golan. They'd won a previous beaten Blackout at a previous event that wasn't best of the best. I think it was a winner takes all due to interference by Deveon and Drew Blood, who I would have actually had advanced to the finals of the tournament after winning a tag match against Nick Gage and Drake Young, but that's just how I would book it. And this was a decent match. It was just really to give some time for the wrestlers to do whatever. 2.5 stars, pretty standard. But there were some good moments, and that's why I give it the extra half a star, because there was some good stuff, and it was booked pretty well. And Joe Gacy and Alex Golan looked pretty strong. Then we had the second semi-final, which was Nick Gage, Danny Havoc, Pinkie Sanchez, and Greg Excellent in a no rope to barbed wire. Oh wait, no, fans bring the weapons match. In this match, it was funny because I knew Greg Excellent and Pinkie Sanchez weren't going to be advancing, but it was the hope that they might, which kept me interested in this match, and it led to perhaps the match of the tournament, in my opinion, because you had Pinkie Sanchez and Greg Excellent as the real underdogs, trying to really fighting for that spot, and the fans really got into this match, and it was surprising. Everyone knew Nick Gage was going to go through, and everyone knew Danny Havoc was, but you just had that little bit of hope that maybe one of those two were going to go through, and so it led to me hoping that they'd advance to the next round of the tournament. Of course, they didn't, and the match was pretty standard, but it kept me interested, and it was a pretty good match. Having said that, for fans bring the weapons match, sometimes those matches aren't too good. It's basically just a bunch of light tubes, but 3.25 stars. Nick Gage, and then we had the finals, which was no rope barbed wire 200 light tubes final, which was Nick Gage versus Danny Havoc versus Scotty Vortekz versus Drake Young. I think the finish of this match was booked really well, where we had Nick Gage Drake Young had a phrase. Nick Gage hadn't lost the title. He won it in 2006 and didn't lose in 2007. Drake Young won in 2007. And so you'd think one of those two was going to go at it, but Drake Young got Nick Gage in a front face lock on the outside and choked him out, and Danny Havoc pinned Scotty Vortekz. Therefore, Scotty Vortekz had advanced, so he'd really been made. Danny Havoc had won one, advancing him to that sort of main event level. And then next year you're going to have a thing if it's three-man main event, or something like that. You're going to have, or even in the semi-finals or whatever. You'll have two guys who never lost, which were Nick Gage and Drake Young, because they weren't pinned, and Danny Havoc, who won last year, so that could lead to a good thing. Anyway, as I said, I like this more than last year's. 7.75, good event overall. That last match was 3 stars, which was the finals. Thanks for watching. Bye. Subscribe.